What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Johnny5 Alive here, and we're back with another episode of Let's Build. And in this episode, it's going to be a little bit of probably a 3 or 4 part series, I think. I was looking at the footage, and I think right now we have 9 hours of recording, and that it's not even finished yet. I still have some work to do on it still. And so in this episode, we're going to be building a futuristic sci-fi SkyTrain station or monorail station and shopping mall built into it. So stay tuned and let's check it out. Alright, so let's just dive into it. I decided to stick with the 6 times speed just to help trim things down just a tad bit. Let me know if you guys think it's too fast or too slow. Maybe we could speed it up a bit more as well. So yeah, I want to try and follow what I'm doing here. So I want to talk more about the design and what we're doing and less about just random stuff like sometimes I do. I go on little tangents to kind of fill in the gaps and stuff. So here I'm really trying to block out a shape. Now I will bring up an image of a Google futuristic SkyTrain station that I found, and I'm using that as sort of a reference guide. I'm not copying it like one-to-one because you wouldn't be able to with the pieces provided in this game, but I needed to get some ideas. So in the design there was a sort of like cascading elongated building structure that had a waterfall fountain at the edge, and I wanted to have that, so that's what that long shape is there, and those little floating pieces. And off to the left side you see these little med bays. That's to let me know the 4 levels. So this thing is 4 levels tall. I want to have it on ground level, a space in between for floors, and then that way I could get 4 perfect levels in this design structure. And then I realized I might want to have it 5 levels, so you see me boost it up there and put in a 5th first aid station. So really they're just there for guidance to help me understand where the floors are, and I recommend doing that if you're building something multi-leveled, so that way you know your floors and ceilings can fit in perfectly. So I want this thing to be quite massive with a plaza / walkway out front. And the pathing in this game can get pretty tricky, so you want to have quite a bit of room to move around. And so we have a big giant interior, but also a big giant exterior. And here I want to put like my own sort of artificial staircase in, and then have it so you can kind of like tell like that's where the stairs are going to be. And depending on who puts this thing down, you're going to be able to just remove the stairs or leave them. It doesn't really matter. I've tested the pathing out in a later episode that we'll get to, and it seems to work out fine. So now I'm blocking in the walls. I wanted to have this kind of feeling like almost like a fortress of some sort, because it is a sci-fi place, but I wanted these big walls, and inside of those walls the reason there's a gap there is because I want to have some foliage sticking out. And there you can see I popped down the Street Fox coffee shop that I made, and I just wanted to get an idea of what colors I used, because for some reason this is looking very gray, but that's because I'm on the new Arctic biome that is very white. So the gray actually shows, it seems more prominent, but that is actually the whitest of white used on the vinyl plastic, and it just so happens to look pretty gray. And when we move it over to in a later episode, we're going to move it over to an alpine map, just so we can get a better environment lighting and get away from this white snow. And I also just wanted to test it with the guests and the pathing, and I didn't want to have to open up Yeti Land yet because we're not ready to do that. Yeah, and I totally forgot to mention at the beginning of this episode, we're building the SkyTrain station for Yeti Land because I didn't want to use someone's Steam Workshop creation. I wanted to have my own, and I don't really ever do anything half-assed, so I figured, why not build this massive SkyTrain station with a shopping mall built in, and that would really hit it home, because I haven't made a SkyTrain station, or I haven't made a train station yet other than the festive one, and my Sci-fi pack needed a festive train station, so it was on the to-do list. So I figured, why not go all out for Yetiland? And the idea with Yetiland is that we're going to have four or five train stations and a train running around the map, and then that will be for the base map of the game that I upload for you guys to start building a park on. So I want to have these really cool SkyTrain stations incorporated to the map when you load it up, and I want them all being very unique and very fun. So we built the gingerbread one. We're going to have the destroyed gingerbread one. So I figured I'd do the sci-fi, and we still need another one, which I'm thinking we might do fantasy. So I haven't actually built a fantasy building yet, so I think it would be a fun little project to maybe do that one next. So here you can see me building these like pillars and stuff and playing around with things, and a lot of the stuff that I'm doing is really experimentation. Like I said, I did have some reference or an idea that I found, but I just start doing my own thing. I just wanted to get ideas from it. I like the water fountain idea. I like the shape of the building and how tall it was. I like the plaza out front, and now it's time to just make it all my own and incorporate my own ideas into it. So those pillars there, it did make it feel very much like almost like a Halo Fortress or something. And I think I end up reducing that a little bit later. It might be in this episode, but I didn't like how castle-y feeling it was. There's just too many pillars, making it feel too aggressive and too bold. So we want to reduce the boldness and make it a little bit lighter, sleek, clean, and more of that like Utopia style feel. And here I'm just trying to get the spacing out, because I also want planters in between these staircases. Like I will have those. I have those gaps inside the walls because we're gonna have bushes and stuff popping out the top. So I want to have those same kind of style gaps in between these stairs. So I'm really just like mapping out and marking all the different areas that I want to have little plants and plazas and decorations. So we're really just constructing the shell here. And on the outside you see these floating pathways. I had the idea of maybe making railings and a guard station, and guards like kind of could patrol this outer rim, and they are there to protect the people from the mall. But again, I decided later on that felt too aggressive, and I start trimming things back. So it's all just a matter of trial and error process, feeling it out, seeing how I like it and stuff. And here you'll see I brought up the railing to match the other railing, the railing for the stairs, and I realized, oh well, that I forgot that I had to leave space for the railing, and the other ones I was butting up to the floor. And I realized that and went, oh crap, like there's going to be railings up here, so our stairs are actually not in the proper space. So I put in some floors, put in some railings, and I realized, all right, I'm going to have to make adjustments to these railings for the stairs, like I did on the right there. So I'm just putting the SkyTrain in, getting a feel for it, and seeing how it fits and how it looks. And I'm thinking to myself, we're going to need a queue in here, and we're probably going to need 2 rows for that, so we can wrap it kind of like a squiggly U. And so it goes left, right out of the gate, and then it goes right, and we can wrap it into like a 2-row queue. So here I'm just kind of refidgeting things and getting it aligned so that our stair railing can match up with the ground railing, and just readjusting. So like I said, we're blocking it out and we're coming up with designs as we go, and then we basically take a step back and play around with new ideas, and then that means we have to go back and adjust old ideas. And that's part of the fun, and it's a big process. And this thing turns out to be quite an endeavorous project. It's my biggest project yet, and I'm a little bit worried because I did hear or read somewhere that there's a 2,000 piece blueprint limit, and I've already busted that in going, I think when we finish this, it's like 1,700 pieces without a single decoration. Just the building blocks alone becomes 1,700 pieces. So this thing is a beast. What I end up doing in the later episodes, which you'll see and I'll talk about when we get to those parts, is we start a new building just for the decorations. So unfortunately, we're going to have to upload this as 2 pieces, but I'm going to do it in such a way where it's going to be really easy for you guys to just put the decorations on and be done. Like, I'm going to have this little alignment tool where you align it to the other piece and all the decorations will fit. So one building's the decorations, one building's the base, and you just put put 1 and 1 together, and there you go. You have the whole thing. And I think right now we're sitting at about 3,000 pieces by my latest episode, 9 hours in. I'm at about 3,000 pieces, but I still have a few hours to do left on it, and we still have lighting and special effects and stuff to do. So it's not finished, and I'm talking, pretense, I guess, so I don't really know how it turns out, but 9 hours in, trust me guys, this gets pretty crazy from what we're seeing right now. It changes quite drastically. So here, I'm just trying to, I want the first level when you walk into the SkyTrain to be very open and have a high roof. So you walk in and you go, oh wow, look how spacious this is. So that's why there's a second level up there. It's not going to really be for pathing. People aren't going to actually walk around up there, but it's going to look like you can. So it's really decorative at that point and for space. Now here you see me putting, I wanted some kind of cool angular shape where the SkyTrain comes flying out. However, there's no piece that goes upward. So you see like that slant? There's no actual wall filler. Excuse me. There's no wall filler that's tilted upwards, and you can't rotate those bottom ones sideways for some reason, which really sucks. And I was trying to find a piece, so I was like, why is there no piece that slants upwards? So that's kind of annoying. And I've noticed this with some of the pieces, like there's no trim. Like you can put trim on the sides of buildings, but you can't put rounded trim. There's no rounded trim, and there's no, there's just little missing pieces for the vinyl, which kind of aggravated me. So here, I just decided we're going to build our own angular wall piece with the basic shapes, or the basic vinyl shapes that actually can be rotated. And if I use enough of them, we can build a wall up that is angled upwards. Because I didn't like the downward slope. I want everything to have these upward angles and futuristic feel, and the downward angle just wasn't working for me. And I felt like this looked a lot better. So I want to fill it in, so if you're on the train and you're looking out and you're actually exiting the station, I don't want all this broken geometry on the inside either. I don't want it to just look good on the outside. I also want it to look good on the inside. So I had to basically cover it up. So I'm bringing it over to the other side, and then I'll end up filling it in so it's covered up and none of these little jaggedy pieces are sticking out. And I'm just really trying to get everything into place looking good, because as you can see there, it's not quite right. And then we just get it in, and I'm gonna have to do a little bit of fiddling here and some filler work. But overall, I'm looking at it going, okay, this is a pretty cool design now. And it'll be really neat once you see the SkyTrain and the track, kind of shooting out of it from a distance. So it'll have this nice futuristic sci-fi feel to it, and I'm pretty happy with that design. So really just having fun, experimenting, testing, and in my mind, I don't really know if this is final. I'm always subject to change. I'm always thinking about things. You can see here, I'm maybe I need some supports. Maybe supports would make sense. And I wasn't really feeling it, at least at the higher ground. It just kind of ruined everything that I just did by adding supports. So I wasn't feeling it, and I put it on the lower area just to take a look. And again, I wasn't really feeling it. I thought maybe if we need some kind of support there. So I used a pillar here, and I thought, oh, that looks like a good, strong, foundation support. So I've just decided that looked good. And then I wanted to see what kind of angular shapes I could add in here to, really put some interesting design shapes in. And I thought this was cool. It kind of flows with the shape and flows back into the building. and I'm liking that. So I'm pretty happy with this at this point, and I'm going to, you know, duplicate it and bring it over to the other side. And, you know, it's simple to just be able to duplicate it, rotate it, and snap it in because it's perfectly symmetrical. So I'm happy with that, and I want to go fiddle around with other things. And so I take the stairs from the other section and I bring them over here. I thought, what if we had, because we have the upward angle, and then what if we have stairs with the downward angle? That gives it this almost like, you know, this opening on both ends, and it gives it this really unique shape. And, you know, the future, it's all angular, crazy, weird, utopian designs and stuff like that. So, you know, I wanted to have as many angular shapes in there as possible. And I think adding those stairs off to the side kind of helped accentuate that. So I was happy with it, and I wanted to just kind of level things out. We're going to need some walkways at the bottom, and I'm having some issues going. I think I built my floor too high. I couldn't quite figure it out there, and I was doing some fiddling, and then I think I figured it out here and got it to where it needed to be. And, you know, I'm going through all these different thoughts in my head while I'm looking at, like, what if I had an underground walkway with a shopping center? And then I was also looking in here like, okay, so we have stairs going up, but why? And then, you know, maybe it's a shopping area in here. So I'm just trying to see how we can fit in some shopping center area, and I liked it. I like putting the shops in there. So I'm thinking, well, if they walk up one side and they go down the other, they're going to need another entrance. But I was leaving that thought for later, and I was like, okay, I'll let that simmer for a bit, and I'll go play around with something else. I do that a lot. I go back and forth, and I'll think about it while I'm working on something different. So I wanted to have this really cool rounded top, but you can't really achieve a rounded roof like that in this game. So we cut to a new footage, so I must have stopped working and came back. So I must have forgot whatever I was working on, and I was working on that rounded roof last, so I'll probably end up going back to that. So I was looking at it when I came back with fresh eyes after taking a break, and I noticed that I really didn't like those pillars. Like I said earlier, it's too prominent, too strong, has, you know, too much power to it. I want it to be a little bit more inviting, because it's not a fortress, it's a shopping center / SkyTrain. We're not, you know, we're not creating like a jail or anything, or some sort of like, what do you call it, command center. It's more for the people. It's a commercial style building. So reducing those amount of pillars really gave it a little bit more of a softer feel, and it's easier on the eyes. So I like that, and I wanted to add some angular shapes to the sides. You could see me doing that here, and I thought that looked good, and I wanted to fill it in a little bit so you could walk around it, and just playing around. And I don't think everything was quite aligned properly, so I had to just pop it out a little bit more, and always trying to fiddle with things and reposition things to get things looking right and working functional. So again, too many pillars on the side, reduce those. I thought that looked better. And then I think here I ran into a problem because I wanted every other one, but I couldn't do that for the end. So I staggered them differently this time, and I think I found something that worked. And that's kind of what I ended up going with. So I went back to whatever I was working on last, and that was the angled roof. You can't do angled roofs properly in this game, so I decided to look through the Sci-fi pieces, and I found that, and that gave me a nice curve. And that's the best thing I could get for roundness, and it also adds to that, that sci-fi futuristic look and feel, almost like it's a spaceport, and it is a SkyTrain station. So I thought it worked pretty well, and we do modify it a bit more in the later on. And I also wanted to add in some rails up top, so that's what I'm doing here. And this is what I was saying: you can't get trim, half-size trim. It's all, or should I say, quarter-size trim for circles. They forgot to add that to the game. So you have half-size circular trim, but you don't have quarter-size, and that's really a pain in the butt. So that one piece had to overhang a little bit, which kind of annoyed me, but there's really no fix to that. And here I'm just adding in some cool railings. I thought some more design flowing with all those geometrical shapes that I have on the building walls would be pretty cool if it flowed right into the train station as almost railings slash supports, and you know, so people don't step off the track. We have something, we like I said, we like to always try and incorporate a little bit of realism into our designs. So yeah, just always trying to play around with things. And I thought, what if we made it curve the other way? And you know, trying that, and I didn't like that. So I want to add it to the outside as well, so we get the same kind of patterns on the outside as we have on the inside. And I'm really just like looking around, tweaking little things and trying to make smaller design decisions before I start plastering on a big roof, or you know, going into the next level of gray blocking. So like I've mentioned in other videos like this, I always like to work in layers. So we want to block it out top to bottom, and it's going to be a lot easier to do that if we're you know, we don't want to build our roof until we've got our innards. That way we don't have to fiddle with the camera as much. And you know, I want to at least get the base building in, and the decorations we'll do once we have a roof and stuff like that. But I just want to make sure everything's looking pretty good. And I forgot to do the stairs on this side, so we're taking over the stairs and just fitting them in. And I was noticing there's some gap issue, didn't know what was going on there, so we're filling them in, and just trying to get everything to look right. Adding some more pillars, I thought that helped to add to the supports and the structure, make it a little bit more grounded and make it a little bit more sensical. And now we're just like filling in our walls, seeing how things look. Maybe we want to have a layer of glass. I thought that would look good, and filling it in with some trim, bring over the windows. And I'm pretty happy with that, the way it's looking, but I didn't like the window trim the way it was, so I wanted to fill it in to help the design, and I thought that looked a little bit better. Pretty cool. And then I'm just seeing if I could fill in that last little bit, but there's nothing really that was working for me. And just looking around at everything, saying, okay, well, let's fill this. And there's no rounded windows either. That kind of annoyed me. But you can take the rounded bits and take the small little windows and rotate them around it, but it is a lot of work. Yeah, so we're filling in the sides of our building so that we can start getting to our roof. And then once, you know, now we can really start thinking about our roof and stuff like that. So I'm really just ready to build the roof. And here we go. We just duplicate, snap it all in. Boom, we have a big flat roof. Now it is pretty ugly, so we're going to have to do some work. I don't like just a giant flat roof, so we're going to have to add all sorts of undulation, windows, and shapes and geometry. So we will be doing that, hopefully in this episode, if not definitely in the next episode. So yeah, we're getting through it. We've already watched a few hours of building, and I think this is going to be like a 3-part series, and 3 or 4, we'll have to see, but it's going really quickly, and I'm surprised. It's nice watching this at 6 times speed, because this really did take quite a while to get it to where it is, and it's pretty nice watching it go this quickly. From the looks of it, we still have about 6 minutes left in this episode, so we'll just keep going with it. And here I was struggling with, because we have that top shape, and it's kind of butting in with these railings, and I want that transition to be somewhat smooth. It was a little bit difficult to try and get that, and it's something I revisit and go back to later. Sometimes if I'm struggling with an idea or something that doesn't look right, it's best to just, you know, move on to something else for a while. And, you know, because there's plenty of other things that are bugging me or things that I need to work on. And if I'm working on them, I'll often go back to something else and get, I'll have a fresh eye returning to it and go, oh, that's what I need to do. So if you're looking at something for too long, it's best to just step away, take a break, or just work on something different. So that stuff on the inside of the train, I was like not happy with, but I figured I'd come up with a solution later. So now I felt confident that I didn't need my little med bays anymore. We got rid of them, and you know, we've established our 4 levels of our building, our 5 levels, and now we just don't need them anymore. We could just start adding stuff to the top. Now here, I want to add some designs to the top, but I don't need them to be interactive in terms of like the interior that we build up here. Nobody's ever going to go inside of it. It's just for looks, and it's also just to tell a story. Like maybe employees can go up there, but you know, none of the guests get to go up there. So we don't really have to worry too much about what's on the inside. We just need to block out some cool designs because it's more of what it looks like from a distance, and we want to add some more cool designs to our outer structure so it looks pretty badass from a distance. So I'm really just filling it in and coming up with ideas. So I wanted to have, I took that stairs idea and thought, well, wouldn't it be cool if we had like a glass window going forward on an angle and then one going sideways on an angle. So that's where all these angular shapes are coming in, because we're prepping ourselves for doing angled glass windows. And now by default they don't have angled glass windows. We're going to literally have to build them out of the mini window pieces, which we will likely be doing in the next episode based on the looking at the time of this recording. So we're just filling it all in, and we're going to leave some gaps for our glass windows later on. And I think this shape is really helping to get rid of that boring flat look at the top of our roof. And I wanted to see if I could add trim, but then I thought, oh crap, we can't because we have so many curved pieces and there is really no curved trim. However, you can use the circular, what are they called, basic shapes to create rounded corner trim, but this plastic looks much different than the vinyl plastic. It's much shinier. So I don't want to use the basic shapes in conjunction with my building unless I absolutely have to, which you do see here because I don't have anything to fill the side piece in. So I really have to create my own panels with the basic shapes, and I wanted to get the colors right. So you see me selecting it all here and just darkening it a bit more and getting it to the right color, and it's sort of matching the building now. It looks pretty close, but it doesn't really matter if it's not perfect and it's a little bit has a little bit of a shimmer, because we're going to cover it up with windows. And I also wanted the window to follow that angular shape of the building, so the window's kind of cut off and it has this cool design. And so I used another basic shape to cover a little bit of that window, and now we're adding a little bit more interesting shapes to our building. And then I just want to add some trim in to fill some certain areas. So our gray block has come together quite some ways, and yeah, here we're just doing the same thing. We're filling it in, getting the basic shapes because we're prepping our little windows. So pretty basic stuff, I'd say. It's nothing crazy. We're just making a little window divot. And then we want to use some of those pillars to fulfill and match everything else on our building. So I thought that was a nice little touch. And then we have to like put some little trims on the corners here, so we start filling it in. This part's a little bit annoying to me, having to put these little corner blocks on, but it is what it is. And I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. I think there's some adjustments that were made later on, and we're also going to be ending up changing things a little bit more as we start adding some color and noise to the building. In the later episodes, you'll start to make design changes based off of colors used. And I was just checking there to see if it was poking through the roof or the ceiling of the interior, which it was. So I had to start rethinking my designs. So sometimes that can be a little bit frustrating, having preset pieces that are a certain size. So I thought maybe if I pulled it out, I'd have more room to work. But yeah, I'm just back and forth on ideas. But we ended up getting it right, and I'm happy with the end result. But yeah, I'm looking at the recording time, and we're actually coming to the end of this episode. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this new Let's Build series and this episode. It's going to be a few parts, so hopefully you guys will be bearing with me and sticking alongside for the ride. So Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like, please be sure to smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And let me know what you guys think of this Let's Build Sci-Fi Monorail Shopping Center down in the comments below. Alright everybody, I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye!